Alright guys, so let's break down the differences between medical sales and pharmaceutical sales, like a territory manager or clinical specialist would. So in this video, we're going to break down both careers and I'll go over the responsibilities, salary, job security, and who each role is going to be suited best for so that you can make the right call for you. So they sound similar, but depending on your skills and values, one might be way better for you than the other. And I'm speaking from experience here because I've been in medical device sales for a decent amount of time, not forever, but a decent amount of time. So I oversee multiple states in the Southeast. I've worked in spinal implants, DME, those kind of things. So I've been around the block a little bit and worked with a lot of different specialties. So now I don't have pharma sales experience myself, but I've done research and I've talked to plenty of pharma reps over the years, so I understand how their world works a little bit. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing what I know firsthand about medical device sales and what I've learned about pharmaceutical sales through research and conversations with people who've worked in that space. So let's start with what each role actually does. Medical device reps focus on surgical implants, capital equipment, and clinical support most of the time. So you're not making quick sales calls all day. Your job is going to be mostly about building relationships with surgeons, supporting cases in the operating room, and providing the technical expertise during procedures. So let me paint this picture for you. So you're in the operating room at 7 a.m., making sure your surgical trays are set up correctly. You're scrubbed in during the cases, answering questions about implant sizing, helping the surgeon pick the right approach, that specific patient's body. After the case, you're billing used implants, restocking your inventory, and making sure that everything's ready for the next surgery. So it's not just about selling your product, it's really, more part of the surgical team. So surgeons rely on you to know the technical details to troubleshoot when something doesn't go as planned. So to help them get the best outcome for their patients, you have to do all of that. Pharma reps work with physicians and pharmacists, but they focus on prescription drug treatment protocols and patient education. So no operating room time. Just a lot of office visits and high call volume. So a typical day for a pharma rep looks completely different. So you're making 10 to 15 calls per day at least, visiting doctors' offices, dropping off samples, scheduling lunches, and learns. So educating physicians on the latest drug therapies, you're covering a lot of ground. So you might hit 5 different offices in one day, 5 to 10 minutes if you're lucky. It's about staying top of mind with prescribers and making sure your prescription drugs are the ones that they're thinking about when they're writing prescriptions. So that's what each role looks like, and now let's talk about compensation in each. So entry-level medical device reps make around $60,000 to $70,000. Top performers in it earn $150,000 to $300,000 and can even get up to $500,000 a year. So here's the thing about medical device compensation is it's heavily tied to your territory and the cases or products that you support. So if you're in a strong territory with high surgical volume, you can make serious money pretty quickly. I've seen reps in their second or third year clearing $120,000 to $150,000 because they're hustling, building relationships, and supporting a ton of cases. Pharma reps start around 58 to 70, and top earners can hit 150 to 300 after 10 to 20 years. Medical device roles have higher upside, but way more variable pay. So in medical device, you might have months where you make 8,000. You might have months where you make 20, depending on the surgical volume and how many high volume and high value procedures you support. It can be unpredictable, especially early on when you're still building your territory. Pharma reps get more base pay, usually around 70% base and 30% commission, with way fewer swings in your paycheck. That stability appeals to a lot of people. You know what your paycheck is going to look like month to month. Your commission's typically tied to prescription volume and your territory of hitting specific targets and key accounts. And it might sound like pharma could be a better deal, but here's what a lot of the people miss in this equation that I wanted to go over. Job security. So pharma reps are easier to replace. You miss quota or lose a territory or have a territory restructure, you might get let go. Pharma sales have been shrinking like crazy over the past 10 to 15 years. Companies merge, patients go away, territories get reshuffled. It happens constantly, and then one day you're crushing it, and the next day your company merges, and boom, your job might be gone. Medical device reps are way harder to replace because it's a lot more of a technical and clinical combo, and surgeon relationships are far more important. So, if I left my territory tomorrow, it would be hard to find someone to fill that role quickly because they would need to find someone with all of the, expertise that I built over this time. So, a lot of those accounts aren't just going to be keeping those relationships going if someone else new can come in. So, Get a new medical device rep up to speed takes a good amount of time, more than a pharma rep might. So, they're way safer from layoffs and job cuts, even in down markets. So medical device roles are generally more stable. They have elective surgeries and they might slow down during a recession, but trauma cases, spinal fusions, joint replacements, all of those still happen. So if you're choosing between the two, how do you know which one's for you? So medical device sales is great for former athletes, people that have clinical backgrounds like athletic training, nursing, pre-med grads. I came from athletic training. I studied it in college in Pennsylvania. So I worked as a certified athletic trainer in high schools and urgent care settings and all of that kind of thing. So that clinical background gave me a huge advantage when I moved into medical device sales. So I already knew and had some kind of anatomy structuring. So I knew how to talk to physicians because I would do it all the time as an AT. So I was comfortable in those high pressure situations because you would get that in athletic training all the time. So all that translated well into like operating room roles and the other DME roles that I've carried. So it's also great for technical people who don't want to sit at a desk all day. So you feel like you're being on your feet, you like being on your feet, and you like that variety in your schedule. Medical device sales could totally be for you. So pharma sales is perfect for business majors, relationship-focused sellers, and people who like high call volume and structured schedules. So if you thrive on hitting a ton of touch points, building rapport quickly, and managing a large book of business, pharma might be a better fit. A lot of pharma reps come from traditional sales backgrounds like retail, business-to-business services, hospitality. That brings out the most important question. So which path should you take? Medical device sales if you want a technical, in-depth, time in the operating room, direct patient impact. If you want to really master something and become an expert in a specific area, medical device sales gives you that. So you're learning surgical technique a lot of the time. If you're an operating room rep, you're understanding anatomy at a deep level. You're becoming the go-to resource for surgeons. Go pharma if you want higher daily call volume and way lighter technical requirements. If you like the hustle of sales where you're making calls, building pipelines, closing deals, and you don't want to spend years learning clinical details, pharma gives you a faster ramp up and a more traditional sales experience. So here's my honest take. If you're not sure which path's right for you, start with medical device. The skills you build in medical device sales, like clinical knowledge, relationship building, technical selling, will transfer to almost any other sales role. If you're still unsure which path makes the most sense for you, the fastest way to figure it out is to see what the job actually looks like and how real people are getting hired today. So this is why I wanted to recommend checking out the Course Careers free intro course. I'm going to tag that up there. So I built this course specifically and designed it to show you exactly what the job is going to look like and help you figure out if it's right fit for you. It walks you through the different career paths available and kind of shows you what your day-to-day would actually look like so you can actually figure out if it's a good fit for you. So after watching it, I think you'll understand why medical device sales is a good career path and how to break in as quickly as possible. So the free intro course here covers everything from the structure of medical device industry to what a typical day looks like to the skills you usually need to be successful and how to actually land your first job. So you probably won't need any prior sales experience, so it teaches you how to get hired step by step. So you can use the link in the description to start the free intro course when you're ready, and if you want to go deeper, you can get $50 off the full version. So Course Careers here has helped thousands of students land entry-level roles with no degree. So I designed this course based on what I wish I had known when I was starting out. So it's not going to be just theory. It's, the real world stuff that actually matters when you're trying to break into this industry. So you'll learn medical terminology, anatomy basics, how to navigate the operating room, how to build relationships with surgeons, and how to use the tools and systems that medical device reps use every single day. So it's going to be affordable, it's flexible, and it even includes projects and coaching that can, kind of go at your own pace if you wanted to do that. So some people finish it in a month, other people take longer depending on their schedule. So if you need help along the way, there's, me available and anyone who can help you out working in the industry we can pull from as well. So check out the free intro course, use the link below and get $50 off. Now let's take a quick look at what the work actually looks like and feels like day to day. So medical device reps spend half their time in the operating room, hospitals, or other, meetings, and also meetings with surgeons. So a typical day for me starts early. So I'm usually up at 7 a.m. Doing a lot of DME, cold calling, schedules, all of that, because I don't work in a traditional OR setting anymore. So I do a lot of the selling with DME things. So, a lot of that given at that given time is what I'm doing during the day. So I do a lot of cold calling, patient interaction, that kind of thing. So a lot of it starts really early and a lot of it won't finish up until really, really late in the day. A lot of times I don't finish up my day actually until about 8 p.m. Because, I want to try and be the best of what I'm doing. And I also want to have the lens through myself that, I'm going to be doing the best that I can to help out these patients that are just undergoing, so much. Pharma reps, on the other hand, is going to be a lot more about volume. So you're hitting multiple offices, trying to get face time with physicians, dropping off samples and educational materials, and staying top of mind with prescribers. So pharma reps handle way more rejection, way more cold calls, and higher daily activity. So you hear no a lot, offices that don't want to see reps, doctors who are too busy, gatekeepers who won't let you past the front desk, but if you can handle all that rejection and keep pushing, you eventually build enough relationships that your numbers start to move. So here's how I ended up going into medical device sales. So I got an athletic training background and worked at an urgent care, which a lot of you have probably heard before. So I loved the clinical side of healthcare. So I worked with athletes, helping them recover from injuries and being a part of their return to play. But I realized pretty quickly that income potential was limited and the career growth was pretty slow. So I believe I was making around $40,000 at that time as a certified athletic trainer. I was working long nights, hours, weekends, all of that. And I just didn't see a clear path to really making any more unless I went back to school or moved into some kind of management role. So I started researching other options. Discovered medical device sales through YouTube, and I found out that I just sort of fell in love with it from that. So I started interviewing at a bunch of places, started getting rejected, and then I actually met my boss. Luckily, he was one of the patients that we were helping out in urgent care, and I followed up with him, really called him a bunch of times, and then we connected and he ended up hiring me. So fast forward now, I don't work in any athletic training anymore, and I'm making more than I did in the urgent care. So any of that, the biggest part I wanted to talk about is the freedom that I have in medical device sales now and the flexibility to build my territory, grow my relationships, and to continue increasing earnings year after year, depending on how well you do. So you have to pick based what energizes you, and don't waste time doing what I did, wasting that time. So start with the Course Careers Intro course if you want to. That's going to help you out a lot if you don't really have a clear roadmap. So I got lucky because I was persistent and I got my boss's phone number right off the bat and kept calling him until he inevitably gave me a shot. But you don't have to do it that way if you don't want to. You could follow the Course Careers way, or you could hit me up to help you out with individualized coaching. Would be more than happy to do anything that feels right to you. So other than that, that is all that I got for you based on both of them. Both careers are great, but the best one for you is going to depend on your skills, personality, and your long-term goals. So if you're technically minded, you want a deep clinical knowledge, or if you want to be in the operating room and work closely with surgeons, medical device sales is probably going to be a better fit for you. If you're relationship focused, you want high daily activity and a more traditional sales setup, pharma might be the better fit. So I've got more videos coming up by how to break into medical device sales and all of that. So, we're going to be starting to hammer these home a little bit more now that, I'm getting a little bit more free time. So if you have any other questions, feel free to message me on LinkedIn, email me, whatever you need to do. Send me a lot of follow-ups because sometimes I get bad at responding to them. So I will see you guys in the next one.